Alright, YouTube, J.K. Rowling is being pressured to take in hundreds or thousands of refugees after deciding unwisely to weigh in on the situation there regarding the refugee crisis. Essentially, you've got a lot of people in this world who they say, do as I say, not as I do. People like Obama, people like Hillary Clinton. Oh, we must help the refugees, but you taxpayers will pay for it. You'll be the ones, your communities will accept them, ours will not. Our gated communities are completely homogenized. J.K. Rowling is similar. She's a mansion dweller. She's a billionaire. She's one of the richest people in the world. Now, I don't begrudge her wealth. I've read the Harry Potter books. They're very good. I enjoyed reading them all. I read them multiple times. Movies, not so much. The first couple were terrible. After that, they got better and better. The last few movies were really good. I will say that. But the first two were a disappointment. They should go back and redo the first two movies, honestly, in that series, because they cut so much out from the books. Is like, why even bother watching it? I'll just read the book again and use my imagination, honestly. I mean, she's talented, but she's a writer. She's not a political scientist. She's not trained in analyzing society. And she dwells in fiction. And it's a fiction that Europe is capable of taking unlimited streams of people in under their wing to care for them. It is fiction. So naturally, she would support such an idea. Now people are pressuring her to help. Charity starts at home. Why don't you bring some of these people into all these mansions that you have, all these extra properties that you can afford, unlike the average working class Brit, who's seeing their pension get fucked because of the refugee crisis in part. Why don't you help out? You've got the money to do that. You could probably afford to resettle 10,000 people in some area. You could buy a whole town, resettle it with nothing but refugees, and make the native population rich by paying them double for their property in the process. You can do that. You're at leisure. You don't have to worry. You go down the street, you can have armed guards walk you around. You don't have to worry about random acts of violence. You certainly don't have to worry about fucking property crime. And it's a case of do as I say, not as I do. All these idiots, rich so-called philanthropists, and the pro-social engineering crowd and so forth. And this happens in the right and the left, by the way. They're always talking about how great this charitable idea is, how great that social program is. What they never bother to tell people is the taxpayers will pay for it. The state doesn't magically pay for it out of thin air. And the rich are almost inevitably sheltered from having to contribute whatsoever. And so why would you respect her opinion on this? The same on the right. We see it here with the abortion debate probably best of all. You've got all these people who tend to be fiscal conservatives, ironically. Oh, abortion is bad. Abortion should be outlawed. But then you tell them, okay, well, we're going to create a registry. We'll outlaw abortion. But we're going to put you in a registry, and we're going to give you the orphans. You're going to have to raise them. And you're not going to get any state funding to do so because that's your responsibility. You're the ones that wanted to do this. How many of them do you think would still support such a move? Probably very few of them. And that's the point. It's the same with J.K. Rowling and the fucking refugee crisis. Europe can no longer take unlimited streams of refugees. It can't afford them. The United States can't afford to take unlimited numbers of refugees. It's not possible to pay for it. And so you have somebody who could actually pay to alleviate some of the pressure on us. Why don't you take all of these multiculturalist rich Brits and you amalgamate them in one area, give them their mansions, and then fill up their mansions, all the extra rooms and stuff with refugees? Oh, why do you need 10 bedrooms, you would say? It's like these same people on the left side of the fiscal stuff. Like, oh, why would the rich need this? Why would the rich need that? Well, again, why don't you walk the walk? Why don't you take all those spare bedrooms and put like 10 refugees in each of them and live with them? You should feed them. You should clothe them. You should shelter them. The average British citizen can't do that. They might be able to afford one refugee, if that, and that's if they're lucky. And they shouldn't have to. Most of them don't support the idea. You're the one supporting it. You take care of the problem. Why don't you buy an island somewhere and put a bunch of refugees on there and then have a town founded there? Since you know so much about charity. Why don't you open up your pocketbook? Since you've got over $1 billion, why don't you help out? But she won't. She's not going to respond to this. It's not going to happen. Should cut a check every once in a while for some charitable effort. That's, it's so good, and go through the motions and make a big stink about it, grandstand for the public, so that you can be seen as a heartfelt individual. You've got such a big heart, such a charitable person. Meanwhile, she's sitting on top of a literal mountain of cash. And I don't care that she's sitting on a mountain of cash. I don't begrudge her that. But if you're going to support such a venture, well, why don't you lead the way? Why don't you show people how wonderful it is? Get 1,000 people up on your property. Tear down one of your mansions and put up a tenement. Put the refugees in there, and you can have a penthouse on top or something. You can oversee it. You supply them with all the things that they need. And see how long it is till that $1 billion is substantially decreased, and you'll probably get a better idea of how money operates. I understand. Rowling, of course, was raised in the working class. She was not wealthy when she was young, and then came into her wealth through her own hard work. Why would she begrudge other people who have risen to a similar status on a much, much smaller level the right to keep their money and not have to deal with this problem because they simply don't have the means to? And why would she support the idea that the state should be involved? It doesn't make any sense. It makes things even less efficient. And it causes ghettoization and all of these other problems. So yeah, it'd be wonderful if Rowling would lead the way. Why don't you fund... You're having people that are offering you, Cernovich and others, to buy the tickets to send the refugees there directly to you. You don't even have to pay for their travel. All you have to do is lodge them. And if you can't take 10,000, make it 5,000. If you can't take that, take 10. Take just 10 refugees into one of your mansions and house them there. And see what happens. That would be funny to see. I'm not talking, I'm talking a random selection of refugees, too. I'm not saying, you get to pick and choose and take 10 cute little orphans or something like that. No, you take some of those young men that have actually seen battle. And when they get PTSD from all the shootings and bombings that they've witnessed, and when they roll out of bed and immediately grab a stick and start smashing everything in their path because they've got massive difficulties with their life, then don't blame anybody else for your fucking problems because you've got the money to take care of that situation. I wish these people who speak out so fervently on behalf of so-called charity run by a government that's not even charitable and is involuntary on the general population, with them sheltered largely from the fallout from such social programs, I wish that somebody could put something in place where those speaking out in favor of such programs would be the first ones to have to liquidate their assets to take care of the problem. If you're such a wonderful humanitarian socialist who believes in the common good, then why is it that you're sitting on a pile of cash like a true capitalist, nonetheless, and not helping out? You're the one advocating such things. It's not some random working class Brit living in a flat somewhere, making, £500 a month or something, or whatever the hell you make on average in some lower class area of the UK. They're not the ones that are going to be able to pay much more for it. Their tax burden's already sky high. The funny part being the UK is actually low tax compared to some of the other European states. Go up to Sweden or something. No, you take care of the problem, since you're so wonderful. You take care of it. You can afford to house them. That's about all. Peace out.